I'm Stephen Buescher, he, him, his. Uh, Fun fact, well, a fact. I hiked at one point the Inca Trail to Machu Picchu, and I thought because I'm a physical theater performer that it might be, if not easy, at least tolerable. And I think my sort of knee gave out after the first half hour, and it was a 3-day walk, uphill and down. So fun, I don't know, but a memorable experience. So an experience in the theater I'd love to relive. In thinking about this question, I'm kind of going to theater as an awakening, I guess. I was part of an ensemble company at the Del Arte International School of Physical Theater and got to travel all over the world with the company. And we did a version of Paradise Lost, an adapted version of that, and we toured it to Croatia and Budapest, Hungary. And I think it was Budapest. This was not long after 9/11 we took this piece there. And you know, the piece was, it was set in a sand pit. At one point, I think all the men were wearing high heels, maybe even like stilettos. We're doing dances and things in the sand. I'm with my now wife in a bed of dried corn. We're throwing orange peels at each other. There's water. You know, it gives you a sense of what this piece is like. But anyway, I don't know why we thought this, but I think we all thought this, that we had this innovative piece, very visual, very physical. It's talking about the problems that are happening in the States. 9/11 just happened, so we were feeling that. And we did our show, and like pretty much right after the show, they brought up like 10 microphones and set them up in the audience that people could then go walk right up to the microphones and talk to us. And it was like, oh, okay, so this, all right, here we go. And we thought people were going to say how much they liked it. One after the next, everybody said how immature we were as Americans, thinking it was 9/11 was a big deal. Look, we've been dealing with war and people coming and bombing us for hundreds of years. How dare you? It was like, whoa, there's a perspective. And then the next one did the same. Next one, same. Like everybody just blasted the content. And I think we were all stunned. But like, why would I want to relive that? Because I feel like it felt very real. It felt very immediate. It felt very performer, audience, no veil whatsoever. No, we're going to pat you on the back now and then talk trash at the bar afterwards. Everything was right there, and people had like a vibrant need to talk to us about the content and then how it related to them personally and then their countries and their perspectives. And it really kind of blew us all back because we were kind of cocky, I think. But it really, yet again, it made me think that, okay, um, I'm in the United States, but that's not the center point of the world experience. I'm still an advocate, and it kind of gets me into trouble for people to speak candidly. I'm always trying to bring the bar talk into the studio. So I think, and I was listening to a podcast recently about the need for debate. And just because we have different points of view, we can still grapple with things. I want to veer off for a moment. My family, I was adopted by a white German family. I have my little sister is half black, half Vietnamese, flown out of the Vietnam War. She's worked for the military and now works on military bases. She's currently in Italy. My dad is a Christian right government employee for many years. My mother, lesbian ordained minister. My sister, wildlife biologist, and my brother, a math teacher, and me, the actor. So I feel like I come the well, divorce and all that aside, I come from like the table that you sit around is full of wildly different people and wildly different perspectives. And it doesn't mean you have to dislike these folks just because people hold a different point of view. So that's kind of what I was raised in. So I think having that candid, dangerous conversations are good in the theater. I think creating as an ensemble is fantastic. I know it still feels like actors and dancers are at the bottom of the rung, and we won't even talk about stage managers and vocal coaches and people who end up being invisible when you get credit. But so there's still that kind of hierarchy of who gets acknowledged. But so how as an ensemble, collective play sort of equal, I mean, equal is tricky, but how everybody gets acknowledged, or everybody at least gets to voice their piece. Whether or not that voice ends up being part of the spine of the whole thing is in question, but even being allowed to voice that, you've shifted something about it, even if you don't see the effects right away. I also think something about the audience, the exchange of the audience, and the audience is not invited to come in, be quiet, sit in the dark, and thank you for coming. That audience can actually turn the tide of the performance or the performer, not in a sort of gimmick kind of way, but in a real authentic, um, visceral way. So those are three things, but I don't know about starting a company right now. So I've never had this thought. So for me, it's never been like I need to do something else. Like my heart and my cells, once I fell in love with theater, there was like nothing stopping me. At one point in high school, this is when I was going to be rich and famous. I was in Indiana at the time at Broad Ripple High School, and I totally blacked this out. I went to 3 different high schools, so my loyalties were questionable. But anyway, I think I was part of the senior cabinet. I believe I was supposed to give a prayer at the graduation ceremony, however, or a speech, but I remember it as a prayer. Um, uh, um, I got I got I got booked to do a Kentucky Fried Chicken commercial the same day as graduation. Now, my dad would never have let me miss the prayer at graduation to go to Kentucky to film a commercial. So I left a note on the mirror at home saying, I'm going to Kentucky. I won't be at the graduation. Um, sorry. I probably didn't even say sorry. I'm going to Kentucky. I'm doing this commercial. I won't be at graduation. Later, as I'm older, I find out that all kinds of family had bought plane tickets. Everybody was flying in to see me do this and see me graduate. But this was the beginning of my film and TV and commercial career, and I was doing this thing. So I got bit by the theater bug. It's still a sore spot in my family, but I'm still in theater. But anyway, so I got bit by that bug really hard in high school, and I just have never veered from it. So nobody could tell me that I can't do this in any form or fashion. For me, the question was always, can I do it here with these people? And something that I found out, I mean, I love the Del Arte school that I was part of for a long time. But when I was there, maybe in my 20 mid 20s, late 20s, early 30s, I had too many big ideas for the place, and the folks running the place were not quite ready to like pass the torch. So for me, it was like, all right, let me go. I've got no bad will here, but I got to do this somewhere else where I can do my ideas. Same thing when I was at American Conservatory Theater in that discrimination lawsuit. For me, I had to leave not because I wanted to go, but it's like I can no longer do this here with these people in the way that is currently happening. So I had to step out. So for me, it was not me that needed to change and do something else. It was the scenario around me. I needed a different environment so I could really soar and do my thing. And my wings were getting clipped. Oh, that, I mean, sort of well, it's, I don't, well, some of the people at the place where this is going will know about the Sears catalog. There used to be a Sears catalog that was like this thick, that when I was a little kid, I grew up in the south side of Chicago, cockroaches everywhere, dishes in the sink, a frozen radiator, we're using crates for chairs. Um, we got the Sears catalog, which as kids, you got to circle all the toys and games and clothes and things you wanted. And we would spend hours and days circling all these things. When Christmas came, you would not get any of that stuff. But at least in your mind, it was there. So that, in a way, that question feels a taste like this because my experience is showing me that the the sort of like the discrimination that I was hoping to leave behind in San Francisco has now followed me to where am I? San Diego. Everything just kind of takes on a different shape, or it comes out of a different mouth. Um, so, what do I want to leave behind? I guess I'm trying to um, help support people to like live louder and be stronger and have more arrows in your quill thing and keep shooting at the target because it's not really going to change. And I don't know that the weight gets any less heavy. Um, it just might mean you have to dance more. Hopefully, we're not medicating in all those ways more because I think that's something that we as theater people in that culture tend to do. So I think it's trying to find ways to balance what you know is going to come at you. And also try to, I've been thinking about a sort of 2/3 in my mind. I haven't been able to do this completely, but how can there be a 2/3 rule? So anything you're doing, whether it's a trans play or a women's this or indigenous piece or black folks that, how can you bring 2/3 of folks that represent this voice into the room, into the theater at all times? So that's something I'm shooting for. It might mean that you have to bring people in video or bring their quotes in or bring live people in or who know, get people on the phone, but that people who are feeling small can feel big because you've got your posse surrounding you. They're in the space in a way you haven't imagined them to be able to be here. Um, so it might be ancestors, yes, but it's also, oh, we're outnumbering you for a moment. And I really think it matters because the conversations will be different when you're in the majority. So that's something that I'm trying to bring forward in different ways, not as a threat, but as a um, a liberation. So people still kind of view that idea as a threat.